Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Did You Watch Survivor Last Night? Show in which I, Jake Scheidel, ask my best friend for life, Thomas Powell, if he did indeed watch Survivor last night. It's always a mystery. So, Thomas, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I didn't realize that the position of best friend was like a Supreme Court position where I was appointed for life.
Yeah, you can't get out of this. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's good. It's good to know. Wait, well, I can resign.
You could, but that would just mean that I would stalk you.
I just think it's just good to know that you can't fire me. That's really more the point I was making.
I can definitely fire you. I'm in charge of this
you
relationship.
said I was appointed for life.
Yeah, but
all right,
I can murder you. I can still murder you.
Oh, okay. So I didn't realize it was implied that firing me meant killing me, and me resigning meant me committing suicide or dying.
Yeah.
So
those are your only options.
All right, good to know. Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. I got another question for you.
Oh, shoot.
Did you watch Survivor last night?
Oh, you bet I did.
Yeah, it was a good one, right?
That was a real good episode.
So
strong season, man.
Strong season. Well, strong players, you know? They got all the shit players out, and now it's only the strong and Abby.
Not all the shit players.
There's the one major shit player that's still in the game. And she probably won't disappear anytime soon. So this episode...
She's not a big enough threat to get voted off.
I know, it's annoying. This episode's called You Call, Will Hall, which, when I first saw that, I was like, that sounds like something a moving company would say. Like, that would be their slogan. And then, of course, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
I took notes on that, so we'll get to it when we get to it. So we start off the episode getting back from the vote. Andrew and Jeremy, talking about tribal council, say that Sierra's play the game quote meant that she wanted to get out the guys, which isn't at all what she was saying.
Yeah, Savage and Jeremy were like, the playing the game means like voting all the guys out. Which is like, no, not really.
No, it means voting out the threats, which you guys are. So,
especially Savage is like an immediate threat to Sierra because she's like pretty much number one on his shit list. So
yeah, and for good reason. So Sierra apparently is at the bottom and looks at Steven to make a big move. Throws out Joe's name. There was one point, I think it was when Andrew and Jeremy were talking, when they were like, Abby and Kelly, Wentworth, and Sierra, they're not big threats, so let's not worry about them. It's like, okay, well, you're wrong on at least two of those counts.
Yeah. I don't get why everybody thinks Wentworth is such a chump.
Well, because she was kind of a chump in her first season. She didn't really do anything and then just got voted out when people figured out she was there.
No, she's like pretty good.
Yeah.
She's like, pretty good at this.
She's here to play. Steven mentions, he says, I don't want to get run over by a bunch of bros. Steven really hates all the bro mentality of this tribe. It seems like every episode he's talking about how he's tired of the bros.
I get it, though, because you have, Savage, Joe, Jeremy, like the big three or whatever, and, Spencer's kind of smart, but not in, the way that, Steven is.
Yeah.
He's like a business school guy, and Steven's more of
he's not a business school.
Guy.
He's a business school.
Yeah. So, I get why you'd be frustrated. Him and Jeremy seem to get along pretty well, but...
Well, yeah, but also Jeremy's using him.
Yeah, but he's also kind of using Jeremy.
I guess that's true. There's no honest relationships in this game.
We'll get to this later in the episode, but him building up his relationship with Jeremy probably saved him.
You think so?
Yeah.
How so?
Joe was going to get the votes together to get him out, and Savage was more than willing to run with that.
You're right.
And Jeremy was the one that got them to pivot that discussion.
Yeah. You're right. So, after the first commercial break, we immediately go into a reward challenge, which seemed odd, because usually there's more time before that happens, but I guess not. So they break up into two groups. They have to take a boat, go pick up some boxes floating in the water, and then place the boxes on a tower. And the boxes all have colors on them, and none of the colors can repeat on any side of the box. So Kimmy, both Kellys, Joe, Sierra, and Keith win. And then their reward is like they get to go to this cafe.
Yeah, they get like iced coffee and bagels and like cookies.
It does look like a really cool place that they go to.
You get to like hang out at a cafe. Yeah. So
I was jealous. I was like, I want to go to Cambodia. I'm pretty sure that's not a real cafe though.
Oh no,
it's definitely
totally
something they produced and then hired some Cambodian man to stand behind the counter.
Yeah, they're like, get one of the brown people to work.
So they get there by these, they're like pedicabs, but instead of like bicycles, they're like motorcycles, and instead of just like one or two people sitting in the back, like 6 people sat in the back. And it was really cool. I really liked those bikes. They're called tuk-tuks.
Yeah, it's a tuk-tuk. It's like a rickshaw, but it's got a motorcycle pulling it.
Yeah. That's a better example. So Sierra's, always trying to get the upper hand. She throws out.
Wait, are we skipping over how the fucking delightful shit with Keith?
No, that comes later. They're talking.
You're talking about this is when they were still like eating. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Sierra's like trying to get into everyone's head and is trying to figure out what everybody's thinking. And she throws out a line hoping somebody picks it up. That's what she said. And then they all get talking about like numbers and strategy. Sierra, Joe, and the Kellys and Kimmy are talking about strategy and like who is voting with who. And then they show a shot of Keith, and he looks just completely dumbfounded. He's like, I don't know what this all is.
Keith doesn't have to strategize because people like having him around, so they're not going to vote him off for a little while.
And he's not a huge physical threat.
And he's actually pretty good at challenges.
Yeah.
Like the last 2 he's been good at.
Yeah. But not good enough that people are gunning for him.
I mean, he's not Joe.
He's not Joe. I mean, but who is?
I mean, yeah, that's the perfect man right there. So.
So as they're all talking about strategy, Keith gets really bored and just walks back to the tuk-tuks and just, like, gets in one and starts driving it around.
Yeah, he was like, I had a motorcycle back in the day or whatever. I'm going to see if I can put this in gear.
And he says, he's like, here I am on the beach driving a tuk-tuk in Cambodia with my buddies, hauling him around like a taxi driver. They all, like, pile into the back of his thing.
As he's doing that and, like, starts driving away, they're like, he's just going to be gone and we're going to see him 10 years later.
Yeah, he's going to retire in 10 years from now. He's going to be here doing this. That would be so great. I would love a spin-off of Survivor with just Keith being a taxi driver in Cambodia.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
It would be so good. Oh, God. So we go back to the camp, and Steven, the complainer, I've changed his nickname once again to the complainer because it seems like he's complaining more than Abby at this point.
He was, like, moping around.
Yeah, reading poems in camp and whatnot. Like, come on, man. So he's all upset for some reason. He says, I'm having a really low moment. And then Abby, just shoots back at him, "Get over it."
No whining, that's my
terrible.
motto. Me, Abby Maria.
She's the most sympathetic character in Survivor history.
Never done that in my life. I've never whined. With Steven, it was like, he was being dramatic, but it was like, I guess he, like, had lost out on some reward challenges that he thought would have given him a chance to, like, bond with people his last game. And he wasn't really the reason that they lost, because they were just too far behind at the beginning to really... there was just no room for error with assembling the puzzle, but it looked like they were done, so he was like, "We did it," and then it turns out there were two matching colors. So
yeah.
I think it was like, "Oh, this was my fault," but like they wouldn't have even been close to solving it without him.
The thing is, though,
he was the only reason they were even close.
One thing I don't really understand when they do these team immunity or team reward challenges is, like, yeah, one of the rewards you get is you get to bond with people, and you might find a hidden immunity idol clue or something. But there's still 5 or 6 people at the camp where you don't have the rest of the group, so it's easier to, like, you can talk to them, bond with them at the camp, and get something started. But everybody always just mopes around. Yeah. Like, oh, we lost. We didn't get the thing.
I didn't get the brownie.
Yeah. It's just... I mean, I get it. But, you know, take your advantages, you know? Play the game, as Sierra said.
Yeah.
So then Jeremy says, first time Joe loses, he could be going home. Good thing Joe doesn't lose.
I mean, yeah. He's going to have to lose an immunity challenge, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
So Steven approaches Jeremy, Spencer, and Tasha, talking about getting Joe out. And Andrew is just, like, 5 feet away, but, like, behind some trees, so they don't see him. And he's like, oh, this is suspicious. And then he goes and tells Joe, and Joe's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm a huge threat.
No. You glossed over the most fucking self-righteous bullshit I've heard on this show, which is him going, disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Which is someone talking about voting someone else off. Like, you've never done that shit, Savage?
Yeah.
Fuck that dude.
Yeah. My opinion of him changed a lot over this episode. He's coming in, I was like, hey, he's
like
kind of fun,
he's funny. Time.
He doesn't give a fuck about anyone. And, like, after this episode, he's like, he seems kind of rude. So Andrew promises to never vote for Joe.
But you stop promising to never vote for people.
Yeah, eventually you're going to have to go back on that. Now he's promised Joe and Spencer, who are the 2 favorites to win. So that's a safe bet. But also, yeah, you can't keep doing that. And then we get to the immunity challenge. It's another balancing thing. Yay, immunity challenge. So they have to balance a ball on a disc that's hold on some ropes. Jeremy was the first one out. Keith won the first time they played this. When Savage loses, he just flips off the disc that fell. And then Joe wins! Yay, Joe!
I like that, by the way, that it was both of them were so good at it that it took them to get to the final round where they add 2 balls to the thing that they're balancing on, and there's no time limit anymore. It's just like whoever falls off, and it was like 30 minutes.
That's not even the longest challenge. Like, there's one that I think went on for like 8 or 10 hours. That it was in one on a really early season. It was one of those challenges where they just have to stand on a post in the water. And they expected it to be over by the time the sun went down, but it wasn't, so they had to come out with, like, boats and lights on these boats to light the scene. And I think eventually Jeff Probst was just, like, sitting on his buoy, like, sitting down on the ground, not narrating anymore, just like, so, this is still happening. Alright, and you could just tell how bored he is. It's great.
I just imagine Probst giving like running commentary on it for like 8 hours.
Just 8 hours straight, like not even, not losing breath. No need to like get water or anything.
Tilting slightly, and a great recovery.
Oh, she's itching her leg.
Yeah,
itching her leg. Is that gonna? Nope, nothing. All right.
I was always really entertained by them cutting back to Keith's face during this challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Keith has very good facial expressions.
He looked like one of those scenes where like someone is a savant in a movie, and like cut to them doing something. That's what it looked like. Where it was like, this is what Keith was born to do.
Yeah,
but he still couldn't beat Joe.
I know. I don't know how he's going to do it. So after the challenge, Steven mentions that says Joe is my white whale and compares him to Moby Dick.
Yeah, he said he's on a monomaniacal quest.
Yes,
but Joe keeps evading him.
So Andrew,
which I mean, like Joe, it's true. Like Joe is probably going to get voted off if he didn't win that challenge. So
well,
I think Steven had the votes. He had like 6 or 7 people.
Yeah, but then they went up to Jeremy or whoever, and were like, "Hey, let's vote out a woman." What if we did that? Or no, Andrew. They went up to Andrew and said that, and Andrew was like,
"No,
an idea."
I get that. I get that, but Jeremy wasn't going to. Jeremy was going to vote Joe out if Joe lost that. So like Steven had Jeremy for that, so
perhaps
I think they would have done it.
Perhaps, yeah, but Joe comes through in the clutch.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Joe, he just doesn't really have the ability to maneuver to get Steven out. Like he couldn't quite do it. He didn't really have. I guess it helped that Jeremy kind of snuck in there and saved Steven for the most part, but like he could have made a big move there and it just didn't pan out.
It's all about big moves.
All about those big moves.
Gotta make big moves to win.
Yeah, you got Savage. It was great seeing Savage's like stupid face when Jeremy was like, "I don't know about that though. Like, I don't think that's a good move." Like,
yeah.
And him just like looking mad, and then it's like, I'm a lawyer and I pleaded my case, so
yeah,
I'm just gonna go with what the group wants.
So Andrew throws Steven's name out there as a potential vote. And then Joe and Kelly, with an E, are sitting in the water. It's a little flirtatious. Those two.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I mean...
Isn't Joe married?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, he's not? Okay. Yeah, whatever. Do you, Joe?
I think he's dating one of the other contestants from his original season, last I heard. So...
Oh, okay.
Maybe they're married now. I don't know. Oh, yeah. So Jeremy's not on board with the Steven vote and convinces everyone to vote for Sierra or Kelly with an E. And then at one point they're discussing it and they're like, should we split the vote? And they decide not to. Which, if you haven't watched the episode, is a big deal.
Yeah, they're like, what? Like one of them has an immunity idol?
Probably not.
No, not likely, I don't think.
And then it's time for Tribal Council.
This was
quite the Tribal Council. Let's run through the wildlife shots, huh?
Okay, so there's definitely a snake at one point.
Yeah, there was a snake during Tribal Council. And then there was an iguana, some monkeys, and then another iguana. And that was it. There weren't a lot this one.
Yeah. They were going in on those iguanas, I guess.
I was like more than halfway into the episode, and there were still no wildlife shots. I was like, what's going on? Where are these? It's kind of important.
I did feel a little bit let down. It wasn't especially memorable.
Yeah. And then I thought it was just going to be like the one shot of the monkeys. Like, we got to get one in. But...
we're contractually obligated to get at least one shot of monkeys in this.
We signed a deal with the monkeys.
All right, we hit our quota.
We got one. There we go. So at Tribal Council, Kelly and Sierra are on the bottom. Somehow. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah, I don't really either, honestly.
It was just we came into this episode and they were like, so these people are losing right now. Wait, what? I thought everybody was cool. I guess Sierra last vote did kind of go off on her own and vote for Andrew. So maybe that was why. But it didn't seem like they were ever together. But then they had to come together because they were on the bottom?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's more just like those two and Abby Maria aren't just like a part of like the really homogenous like tribe that they have.
Yeah.
Like there's just like a tribe and then like a couple other people that aren't really banded together. So.
Well, fucking.
Well, Sierra even says that.
Yeah.
And yeah, makes some good points. That's basically like you realize that even though you're a part of this tribe, like there's still a hierarchy into that.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, she says, or Kelly with an E says, there are 4 people running this game, and then Jeff Probst is like, oh, okay. Who are those people? And then asks Sierra, and Sierra's like, Savage, Jeremy, Tasha, and then either Joe or Spencer. And then they, like, try to shit on her because she can't decide which one is running the game. Yeah, and then people talk about hidden immunity idols, and it was like, yeah, I don't... Probably not. There's probably not any. If there were some immunity idols, we would have seen them already. Then, at one point, Jeff asks Joe some question, and Joe says, it's like playing chess and you don't know which pieces are which ones. Yeah, it's a solid metaphor.
That's probably what it's like when Joe plays chess all the time.
Yeah. It's like, so the pawns are good? Yes, Joe, you want all of your pieces.
What is this? Just sees the board like, what that is?
This is fancy checkers. So they all go to vote, and it's very secretive, I guess. And they bring the box. What is the vase that they put the votes in? What is that thing called?
I don't know.
The container.
The vote receptacle.
They bring back the vote receptacle, and Jeff says what he says every time. He's like, if anybody's got a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so. And everybody looks around like, okay, we know there's no idols. And then Kelly, with an E, pops up and goes, you know, Jeff, I may be on the bottom, but I'm not ready to go home yet. And she brings up her idol, and Jeff's like, yeah, this is an idol. And everyone is freaking out. Like, they applauded when she played her idol. Some of the people in her tribe applauded for her.
Yep.
And somebody's like, asked Sierra if she knew about it, and she's like, no, I didn't know. This is my favorite moment. And everybody's so excited. So, any votes cast against Kelly Wentworth will not count. And good thing, because she got 9 votes.
They voted for the wrong person.
They really did. I'm so happy they did. And it's so funny, because if they had split the vote, Sarah would have been gone.
Yep.
Or Abby, whichever they wanted. But
yeah, probably Sierra.
Like, it makes no sense, because you had 9 people in your alliance, and they had 3. You could have split it 3 ways, and still one of them would have been going home.
Yep. But instead, Savage is going home.
Yeah. The girls on the bottom all voted for Savage, and Savage left. And earlier in the episode, he was like, "I just hope I can make it to the jury." So I think it was Abby, as he was leaving, and was like, "Hey, at least you made it to the jury." Like, trying to be supportive, I guess. Kind of trying to be kind of funny.
I read that as her being like shitty.
Yeah. So Savage just like turns around and as he's walking out and flips her off. Yeah. He doesn't give a fuck
flipped
anymore.
Off that ball earlier in the game.
I think it was the disc technically that he flipped off.
Yeah.
Because it was the disc that was the problem, not the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
He is tough but fair.
Yeah, something like that. He is a lawyer and kind of an asshole.
he's a big asshole, and I was very happy to see him get voted off.
Yeah, that was so good.
Sierra. Oh, we didn't talk about, by the way, there were some very choice eye-rolling shots from Sierra.
Oh, there always are.
Anytime that Savage talked, it was fucking wonderful.
She is my favorite. I hope she goes far. She's got to come back for a third season if she doesn't win. Well, even if she does win this time around, she's got to come back for a third one.
She's so good at this.
She was my favorite in Blood versus Water. So I'm like, when they announced that she was somebody you could vote for this America's Vote thing, I was like, I'm voting for her. I'm voting for 100 times.
Of course. She's
so
fantastic.
good.
She's been like the MVP of the last couple episodes.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Hopefully that doesn't mean that she'll be out next episode.
So, were you happy to see Cass for a minute there?
Yes, because she didn't talk and just got excited when Kelly played her idol.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, same. There's a web show they do with like the people who have gotten voted out, like after the jury forms. And I saw part of it where Cass and Andrew were like bonding over being lawyers, because I guess Cass is also a lawyer. I just think it's funny that the two people whose like job it is to talk and like manipulate people get voted out as soon as they meet the merge. I don't think anybody's going to be hiring you for any murder cases.
They got that lawyer stank on them.
True. I kept an eye out for a suit. I didn't see Andrew wearing a suit at all this episode.
Yeah, maybe that's why he lost, because he didn't wear the suit.
People were like, you don't look as professional. We're going to vote you out.
Yeah. It's not Casual Friday, Andrew.
Yeah, get out of here.
You bum.
Do you think they keep track of the days of the week there when they're on the show, or are they just like, it's day 18, it's day 27, it's day 3?
Yeah, I think they probably just counted by number. I can't recall anyone saying what actual day it was, ever.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it Kelly with an E's birthday earlier? But maybe she was just like saw beforehand, like, oh, day 14 will be my birthday.
Yeah, like day 14, whatever year I was born. That's my birthday.
1987, I'm guessing.
Yeah, something
probably
like that.
Around there. Yeah. So that's the episode of Survivor. But we want to continue this podcast after Survivor is done for the season. So we're going to start talking about the challenge in a couple weeks when it starts up. The new season starts December 2nd, so we're going to do both when they're both airing, both Survivor and the challenge. And then when Survivor goes off the air, it'll just be about the challenge. And then when Survivor comes back, it'll be about Survivor again. Because we put Survivor in the title of the show, because we're dummies. So
Survivor comes first.
It has to take precedence over.
That's the only rule here.
I think it's funny that the challenge is seen as like a Survivor ripoff, but the challenge started like 3 or 4 years before Survivor.
Yeah, when it was like just the real world road rules challenge.
Yeah, it wasn't as serious as it is now. But yeah, this next season literally takes its theme from Survivor. This season, never mind. So this season takes its theme from Survivor Blood versus Water, which is the one where you play against your family members, and it's called Battle of the Bloodlines. So everybody's like a brother or sister or cousin of somebody who's already been on the show, or one of the many shows that they do. Should be pretty good. Do you want to hear?
So who's
going to be on it?
Who's all up in this season?
So we've got Abram, who was on Road Rules South Pacific and has been on several seasons of the challenge, and his brother Michael, Anissa from Real World Chicago, the original one, and her cousin Rihanna, Camilla, who has been on 1,000 challenges and was first on Spring Break Challenge, her sister Larissa, Cara Maria, who was on Fresh Meat 2 originally, and her cousin Jamie. Christina, who was in the second season of Are You the One, and her sister Emily. Are any of these names ringing a bell?
Not really, no.
We got Kohutta. Do you know Kohutta? Did you watch any of this show?
I mean, I watched like a season of it with you one time.
Yeah. So Kohutta's cousin Jill, Corey, who was in Real World Explosion, and his cousin Mitch, Corey, fun fact about Corey, is from Grand Rapids.
Hey.
Yeah, and I think
all right.
I think he graduated high school the same year as us. So
interesting.
Yeah. He's not a total douchebag. He's a little bit.
I mean,
he was on Real World, so he's a little bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's still a plus.
Yeah, I like him just because we're from the same place. I found him on Facebook, and we have at least one mutual friend.
Hey.
So that's cool.
So no CT or... is Andrew the one who has been on it like a million times?
No, I don't know who Andrew is.
He's like 40. There's like that 40-year-old guy.
Mark, I think. Mark Long.
Oh, maybe.
Mark?
Yeah, I think it's Mark.
Maybe it's Mark or Mike. He's really interesting. He's got a really interesting story because he was on the first season of Road Rules. But even before that, he was on like the second season of Real World when they were like interviewing for a new roommate. It was like Real World Los Angeles. They kicked someone out and they were like, "Oh, we need to find somebody new." So they had a meet and greet and met like 3 or 4 dudes, and one of them was Mike or Mark, whatever his name is, who then like a few years later was on Road Rules, and then was on the challenge. But no, he hasn't been on in a few years.
So no CT either.
Well, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we still got a few more names. There's Dario, who was on the second season of Are You the One, and his twin, Rafi. Jenna, who was on Real World Explosion, and her cousin, Brianna. Johnny Bananas, and his cousin, Vince. Which, of course, Johnny Bananas' cousin is named Vince.
Yeah, of course Johnny Bananas would be on it.
Kelly Ann, who was on Real World Sydney, which I don't think I watched. Her cousin, Anthony. Leroy and Nani from Real World Las Vegas 2, and their cousins Candace and Nicole. Thomas from Real World Explosion, his brother Steven, and Tony from the last season of Real World, which was called Skeletons, and his brother Shane. And then it also says Zach from Real World San Diego, CT, and CT, or DM's sister, Megan, are going to make special appearances, but then in the previews, they look like they're in like their uniforms and like are participating in challenges, so I'm not sure what that all is. But yeah, CT will be there at some point. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, good to know he'll at least make an appearance.
Yeah. Do you know DM? I mean, do you know her, but did you ever watch any season with her?
I don't know that I did.
She was like CT's longtime girlfriend, and they like had an on and off thing the entire time.
Okay.
They were on the last season together, which was Battle of the Exes 2. But she got really sick, and she like since she got on the show, she's been battling cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, and like CT, I guess, really helped her with her self-esteem, and like she was always wearing wigs and everything, and CT was like, "Hey, I'm CT, take off your wig," and she was like, "You're so nice." So they had a connection, and were always like trying to get together, but never really were. So last season, she had to leave like halfway through because she was having like really terrible stomach pains or something. And as it turns out, she had been diagnosed with cancer again before going on the show and didn't tell anyone because they wouldn't have allowed her on the show if they knew. So she had to leave, and before the season aired, she died. So...
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it was a real bummer, and her last episode was so sad. She had this whole interview thing where she was like leaving, and they, cut it in with this interview that she was doing. She was like, I've been through a lot of rough times, but right now I just want to live my life. I want to live life as much as I can. Like I just want to take my moment. It's really sad.
Yikes.
Yeah. So now CT is coming back this season with her sister, who has never been mentioned, I don't think. Yeah, should be a good one.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing about it and then maybe watching it. Yeah,
it'll take 4 episodes again. So yeah, that's you had something else. I think that's it.
All right, I think that is it.
All right. So for Did You Watch Survivor last night? I've been Jake.
I've been Tom.
All right. Bye.
Bye.